Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the Today Show. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, your host today. And today is Wellness Wednesday. You know that we have a theme every day. If you haven't seen the show yet or watched the show, Monday we do self-care, self-worth, empowerment. Tuesday we do finance with Dr. Ramin Modiri. And yesterday was a fun day. He shared 24 songs that have been written about money and made into hits. So we have a list. So I have this big list of songs I want to listen to. And Wednesday is wellness today. And I have the beautiful Nancy Wright going to be coming in with us shortly to talk to us. And Thursday is specialized community. So we feature veterans, Indigenous community, the disability community, and of course, our home channel, the Disability Channel. If you don't know anything about it, check it out, disabilitychannel.ca, and you'll see all the wonderful things that the channel does to support veterans. It's amazing what they do. And then on Friday, it's usually fun day. So we feature somebody in the entertainment industry, perhaps an author. We kind of might try to have a fun Friday because a lot of our topics are pretty serious. And so we know we need a balance there. Let's see, what else do I need to share? Oh, just to mention, every quarter we host a summit, a 3-day summit called Recovery and Performance Summit. And we've done 3 of them, and they've been very popular. And what we do is we bring in 18 speakers who are willing and open to sharing a story of recovery. So the first 15 minutes, they talk about the situation they were in, whether it was a bad marriage or a sickness, a tragedy. And then they spend the next 15 minutes telling us how they got out of there. And then the last 15 minutes is their time to take questions, promote themselves, share what they do. So our next one is September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And if you would like to be considered as a speaker, just contact me directly and we'll send you out the necessary information. So let's see, to contact me, here we go. All right, to contact me, just use my email or you can phone me. I love the phone. I take all my own phone calls. So if that's something that is of interest to you, recovery and performance. And we have lots and lots of visitors there and people who come to hear those stories. Let's see, is there anything else? We've got lots of news from the Disability Channel. Our founder and CEO will be in the last few minutes of the show or the last half hour. So I'll have to warn Nancy that, he jumps in and out like a fly on your doorstep. So I tease him about that. His name is Jay Stoyan, and he founded and developed the Disability Channel. Quite the guy. And let's see, we're going to run a 30-second break, and then I'm going to bring our guest in, Nancy Wright. And you'll see snowflakes floating up into the air during the 30 seconds. But we have already started to engage advertisers and sponsors. So if you would like to know more about putting an ad on our show or sponsoring the show or whatever, let us know, because this is how we'll feature you. We take breaks. So if you have a book, a product, a business, an upcoming event, a cause that you're involved in, and you'd like to be part of the shows through advertising, just again, contact me. I'm your girl. Just call the doc, and we'll get you hooked up. All right. So let's go. This is what our 30-second spot looks like. And we do 30-second spots and 1-minute spots. So that means if you have something, you have to really hone down the message and what you want to share. But we'll help you with that. So here we go. Welcome back, everyone. And just before we get started, and I introduce you to Nancy Wright, we are streaming live right now on Facebook, Laurie Davis Facebook page. We're streaming live on 2 YouTube channels, Laurie Davis Show Host channel and my other channel, 5 Minutes to No Limits, and also on the Disability Channel Facebook page, of course. And we're also hosted by, we just recently collaborated with Your Home TV, which broadcasts in 80 countries and has 40 million viewers. And we are a part of that. We are a channel partner. So that really expanded our audience and put us in the loop, and mostly in America. Your Home TV, that's most of their viewers are there, even though they have viewers all around the world. So welcome, Nancy Wright. Glad to see you, my girl. How are you doing?
Hi, Dr. Laurie. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Well, today, Nancy, we always, on Wednesdays, we talk wellness. So I guess you are a health coach by profession. So maybe you could share with us a little bit about what it is you do when you get a client, how you support that client.
Well, that's a good question. Health coach is kind of a broad term. So I'm actually a master certified health coach, and you see a book behind me. It says appreciative coaching. But the difference is we understand psychology, motivational change, behavior change, I should say. So we understand motivational interviewing, appreciative coaching, which is the book behind me, and positive psychology. So basically, it's kind of like the client is the driver. They know where they're going, and I'm the passenger. And I'm saying, oh, you want to go to Tahiti, or you want to go to Oregon, and we're in California? Well, here's how we can get here. So it's all about meeting them where they're at and seeing them, helping them set SMART goals and just figuring out the way that they want to go. And it's coaching also is not linear. It's, they usually take a few steps forward and maybe 6 steps back. So it's just meeting them where they're at, tweaking a few things, and then just helping them get on the right track to better health, whatever that is for them. It's always about the client. It's never me telling them what to do. I'm there to support them, empower them, and educate them and motivate them.
So how would you describe your client profile? So who seeks you out? Whom do you serve?
Well, that's a good question, because I've been coined the sugar busting fairy because I was a little pre-diabetic. So my big gig when I first started doing this is I would do a lot of talks and workshops, and they were called What the Food Manufacturers Don't Want You to Know. And people really, really gravitated towards that, because what I'm teaching them is misleading claims and hidden names of sugar. And even if something says fat-free, don't be fooled, because that's not true. That's marketing, very clever marketing. The truth is on the back. So if it says yogurt or ice cream, fat-free, they take out the fat, they throw in the sugar, and sugar is the first ingredient. So what I do is I really decode. I teach them label reading, and I'm really teaching them that it's not what's on the front of the package. Like the Cheerios, big box of Cheerios has a big heart cereal on it, big red cereal. It says lower cholesterol because that's their banner. But if you flip it over, it's sugar, sugar, and extra sugar. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm educating kids and adults on how to do that. And I teach them traffic light eating. Like the green foods is the produce foods, as much as you want. The yellow foods, slow down, chicken, nuts, and seeds. And the red foods is the trans fat, the cookies, the pastries, the birthday stuff. Stop, or eat it every now and then. But to answer your question, so I've done a lot of workshops on that. And I love workshops. That's really my thing, to be honest with you. I've done some one-on-one coaching, but I really love workshops. And when this took off, I have a daughter on the autism spectrum. She's very high functioning, like barely on the spectrum. But a lot of my friends, a lot of people in that arena that I know of were like, you've got to get this message out to the neurodivergent adults. So in July, I'm actually doing a 6-day workshop in person for a beautiful program called Divine Path. And it's a program for neurodivergent adults. And they have culinary arts and viticulture, and they have little miniature donkeys and farming. And it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen in North San Diego. So they're bringing me in to teach them. Isn't that cute? I'm in the barn. It's a very, very clean place. So I'm going Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm teaching them traffic light eating, portion control. How do you take a recipe and revamp it Maybe it's a beef enchilada that has processed cheese and sour cream. How can we make that better? We'll get rid of the processed cheese. Do the real cheese. And how about we put Greek yogurt and not sour cream? Maybe
Right.
French fries, get rid of the fries, maybe sweet potato fries. So that's what I'm about. It's more traffic light eating, recipe revamps, making every session I'm going to do, every class I'm going to do at the end, we're going to do a healthier option of, like, for example, soda. A lot of people are hooked on Coca-Cola and soda. How do we make that healthier? Well, we're going to do a celebration soda. That's just sparkling water and a fruit juice concentrate. So it's all about just educating, empowering them. And believe it or not, when you make your own cookies and not the store-bought cookies, you'll be surprised how much better yours are because the store-bought is full of ingredients. And I teach them, no more than 10 ingredients. Less is always best. First in is most in. If sugar or salt is the first 3 ingredients, you're mainly eating sugar and salt. How to decode it and break it down.
Cool.
Did that answer your question? So I'm very passionate.
Absolutely. And it's brought up a few things that I'd like to ask you too, because you've got a lot of nuggets there. First of all, would you describe or explain to us lay people, because this is a word I'm not familiar with, is neurodivergent?
Oh, that's a great question.
I don't know what that means. What does
Yes,
that mean?
and I realized that when I said that, I said, I'm not sure if everybody knows what that is.
No, that's okay. I'll ask you to tell me if I don't know something, because
Yeah,
this is my new word for today.
Oh, all right. Okay. That's the kind of the new buzzword for autism, or it could even be severe ADHD or Down syndrome. It's some kind of disability. I mean, a lot of people have ADHD and they're not neurodivergent. They wouldn't consider themselves, but it's where they have a disability. Honestly, that's neurodivergent. Maybe they, if you don't have a disability, you're considered neurotypical. You can keep up with your classmates. You can turn in the homework on time. You have better time focusing. You don't need to take time tests. But when you're neurodivergent, it depends. Like for my daughter, she needed extra time to turn in homework because the focus was a little hard for her. She needed a note taker. She needed extended time on tests. That's what I mean by neurodivergent. It's kind of different for everybody. And it's called accommodations. So when they're in school or when they're working, maybe those kids need breaks because they have sensory issues and they get overwhelmed very easily. So
Right.
That's an example of neurodivergent. Did that answer it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Now, when you were talking about ingredients, about 12 years ago, my husband had a massive stroke, and we didn't even know where that came from. He's a non-smoker, healthy, whatever. But he didn't know that he was diabetic, and the high sugar drove his blood pressure up, and that's what caused the stroke.
Yeah.
So when I finally got him home, I went into my pantry and I was decluttering the pantry with anything in there that, so I did that. And do you know, Nancy, I went shop. It took me 3 hours to shop the first time the very first time that I was busy replacing foods and so on. And I thought, wow, I should have been doing this a long time ago, looking at those labels. Because even a cracker,
Oh, yeah. I'll give you a couple of tips. But first of all, I really applaud you for doing that. It's not easy. And that's one of the things I do, Laurie, is I take them on smart shopping trips. I mean, virtually, I could take them on smart, we go through the grocery store and, the green aisle is the produce aisle and the inside aisle is the cardiac aisle. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're eating dead food. Yes. You might be dead. I hate to say it, but you don't want to eat that stuff. You made a good point, is the incidence of the higher your blood sugar, the chances of everything goes up. High cholesterol, high blood pressure. And when you have diabetes, you're twice as likely to have heart disease. So you said it. So it sounds like you figured it out, unfortunately, the hard way, but that's it. So the other thing that I do is, you can call it a kitchen clean out, which sounds like what you did because you mentioned decluttering, but I do a lot of pantry makeovers. And that's where the traffic light eating comes in. In fact, I taught a little kid, he was 6 years old, and I gave him green, yellow, and red light stickers. And so we went into the pantry where the dry stuff is. It could be the salads, the marinades, the barbecue sauce, the ketchup. Ketchup is loaded as sugar, by the way. And then you go to the refrigerator, and then you go to the freezer. So that's what we do, is pantry makeovers. So I'm glad you did that. I'm sorry you had to do that the hard way, but yeah.
Yeah, well, he's fine today. He completely recovered.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because I did that right away, and I did not send him to a rehab center. I did not want him to see anybody who had had a stroke.
Yeah.
And I said, we had a big, huge staircase. I said, we can exercise you at home, and I can teach you how to read and write again and speak and all that.
Oh, that's
So,
fantastic. What a great
yeah.
lady.
Well, because I didn't want him to, you know what? I didn't want him to see somebody in a wheelchair thinking that was going to be his outcome.
Yep. Yep. So hopefully he made that lifestyle, it's always about lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Hopefully he did that. And if I give you one tip on sodium, because when you're going out there, Laurie, and this is one thing I teach in my classes, when you're going out there and you're buying soup or beans, or I'm not sure what you eat, but you look at a can of something, always make sure when you flip it over, remember the front always lies. Okay. So don't even pay attention to it, because they're there to bring you in, like no sodium. Oh, really? And then you turn it around. Usually they're right, but sometimes not. If that sodium level is higher than 20%, it's too high in sodium. Look at the percentage of daily value. Don't get caught up in the grams and blah, blah, blah. Just look at the percentage. If it's 20%, it's too high. It's too high. And that's why eating out can be a little scary too, because they'll salt your food, or chicken broth especially, or soup is really high in sodium. You have to really be careful. But they do make them, but just 20% is the number I would want you to remember. Nothing higher than that.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. So let's see, what else we want to know? Where are you located?
I'm in Carlsbad, so I'm in North San Diego. And so what I'm doing is podcasts and speaking engagements. And I love to speak. My background, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and you'll laugh, but I had to actually understand how to read dog food, cat food labels. I have veterinarians in my family, and a veterinarian trained me, because there's even trick marketing on dog food labels, like ground rice, rice flour. It's the same thing. They call it split ingredients. So I had to learn that a long, long time ago. And I thought, isn't that funny? Now I'm doing it. And the reason I got into this, can I tell you my little story of how I got into this?
Absolutely. Yes, this is your
time. I was a pharmaceutical rep. I loved sales, and I was out there every territory in California. But then I started to have tummy tenderness and gut issues, which a lot of people have, blood and bloat and constipation, all that thing. Not bloat is what I meant to say. And I had something called leaky gut, and it sounds terrible, but basically your lining of your gut leaks a little bit. And what happens is it leads to food sensitivities. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't eat eggs and almonds. It's because I had food sensitivities. So that really inspired me to get into health coaching and really understand what the heck is in this food. That's what I always say is, what the heck is in this food? Why am I getting so sick on these Trader Joe's Mandarin chicken things? Well, I didn't realize it had gluten in it, which I'm sensitive to gluten, egg flour, and then a lot of like hidden ingredients and preservatives that can really make you sick, and they're very inflammatory. So I have my own story of that, and I had to heal my gut. And how I did that is I started eating the food that God made, not that man made. Anytime you buy something that's in a package or a can, I know, I mean, if it has one ingredient, that's okay. But if it has more than 3 to 5, be careful. So, why aren't we eating, tomatoes and avocados? Because that grows on a tree, right? Or, I wish donuts grew on a tree.
Yeah, well, I used to say, if it doesn't grow, don't eat it.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. What do we say? If it grows on a plant, eat it. If it grows in a plant, don't eat it. Yeah.
Right.
Eat the food that God made, not that man made. That's what I say, the chicken, the fish, the stuff that's on the land, in the ocean, the trees, the beans, the nuts, the seeds, all that. Yeah. So I kind of learned the hard way. And then with my daughter, a lot of kids on the spectrum will have food aversions. And that's what I'm really passionate. That's my workshop now. And so they don't like the textures of foods, or they're real stuck on mac and cheese or pizza, or, the mashed potatoes, the yummy, not so healthy stuff. And how do I get them to eat healthier? Well, when I did it with my daughter, who eats kale, she loves kale, believe it or not, kale, quinoa, and avocado salad, I can't believe it. I said, gee, I did something right. And and the pediatrician said, how did you get her to eat that? I said, I ate it myself. And I went through this course. And, when you can just put little bits of food in their favorite food, it's called wisdom of the body. And your body kind of says, hey, thank you for feeding me well. I feel better. And eventually they will start to eat more of it. So it's kind of like hiding kale and mashed potatoes, or maybe you have to puree it, or saute it in their favorite food a little bit at a time. And then eventually, they'll start to crave it. And she's such a healthy eater. I can't believe it. And when she was a baby, she would scream at anything that was green. So now she eats kale chips. It's unbelievable. I'm like, wow, you really can't turn it around.
That's
And parents
amazing.
don't know that. It is a challenge, and they give
Oh
up
yeah.
easily.
Yeah. Well, even my husband has a big aversion to vegetables, and I said, you have to have your vegetables. So, but he loves a stir fry, and he doesn't know that in that stir fry, there's green pepper, red pepper, mushrooms, onions,
There you
uh,
go. Yeah,
right? So I have to disguise them too for an
you did
adult.
it already. That's it. And you knew his strength was stir fry. So that's
Yeah.
how you do
So
it.
I
Yeah,
just,
you figured
yeah,
it out.
throw a little meat in there, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Made life simpler for me too because I can make it easily, and we have it at least a couple of times a week, right?
Yeah, it's easy to make, isn't it? Yeah. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think the reason? Now, we all know things, and I'd love to get another professional's opinion on this. We all know we should be drinking our water. We all know we should be eating properly. I mean, there's lots of guidance and direction and information on the internet, and to to give us the information that we need. So, in your opinion, what is it that why people don't drink their water, or they don't take their walk, or they don't eat properly? What do you
Mm.
think some of the obstacles are, or the challenges are to that?
That's a very good question. And that's where master behavior coaching comes in. Um, this is the way that I know how to answer this is, and what I did about 50 one-on-one sessions post COVID. And a lot of those people didn't want to move because we were so isolated and it was so hard to get them out. And I will tell you, oh my gosh, I think 49 out of 50 all said they had a really hard time exercising. That's really what it came
Mhm.
down to. I didn't hear so much water. And I think we just kind of get stuck. And because COVID caused a lot of depression, I think that has a lot to do with it. So I think because we were told to isolate, and nobody wants to have depression, but a lot of us do. So I think that's just, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't dive too deep in that. But I can tell you one of the things that can really pull them out of it, and they talk about it in the Daniel plan, and they also talk about it in coaching, is social wellness. And that's why I think Zumba and jazzercise are so popular. In other words, groups and dance groups like Zumba. So I can't tell you why. I mean, I know COVID had a lot to do with it. Um, I don't, because I'm not a psychologist, I can't dive too deep into why they're not getting out and
Yeah.
putting their tennis shoes on and taking a walk or whatever. But I can tell you what really helps them is to start with one buddy. Maybe it's hopefully it's their dog if they have one, but it could be their best friend or somebody in their neighborhood. And I always encourage them, if they like to walk, to join a walking group. I actually had a walking group and it's so fun. We walk on the beach and then we go to coffee afterwards and then we're all friends. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but joining a group is really, really important. Whether it's a swimming club or running club, whatever they like to do, try to really get them out with at least one person. But I think we
Right.
just get stuck in our ways. And unfortunately, when they go to the doctor, they're really looking at our waist size. And there's something called diabetes and obesity. We combined it and calls it diabetes. And unfortunately, it's the doctor giving them a wake up call. Like, oh, our waist size for a man shouldn't be more than 40 inches. The doctors are really looking at the waist size. I'll give you a tip on that if you want it. But if it's
Sure.
over 40, some people get alarmed by that. Some people don't. They're not going to give up their candy bar, or their ice cream or whatever. So unfortunately, they may learn the hard way. There might be a health scare involved or something.
Hmm. Right on. So let's talk about how some of those suggestions that you had were really great around like the groups, getting with a group,
Mhm.
um, the walking club. And one of the things that I tried to do here in my town was to put a dance club together, but I didn't really get it off the ground because I think that's an activity for me. If I want to exercise, that's what I love to do because I love music. But and of course I'm a senior, so um, you
Mhm.
know the old rock and roll that turns us on and gets us moving, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
but let's talk about the importance of mobility
Oh my gosh.
as it's attached to, the food education that you provide.
Yes.
What can you share with us about that?
Well,
Mobility.
one of my workshops is talk about mobility. I'm the sandwich generation. I have a mother has dementia, unfortunately, very hard, and then I have a neurodivergent adult. So that's really my niche, is the target market. That's why I create all these workshops. And by the way, this is all Dr. Sears science based. It's not me. It's science. All very much science based. But when Dr. Sears talks about mobility, one of the things that he says, one of the most important things you can do as a senior is flexibility. And so I will just turn on YouTube, Dr. Laurie, I'm not kidding you, and I will just stretch, because I'm a banged up equestrian. I've been thrown from a horse more than a few times. And so I know how important stretching is and all that. So even if you can't, I always say, here I am telling you this, and I'm looking at my TV going, I haven't done this in a while, but stretching and flexibility, he said, is one of the number one things you can do that will keep you out of the doctor's office or the orthopedics office, or, hopefully prevent you from knee surgery, unless something runs in your family, you have to have knee surgery. But what else does he say? Also, the cleaner you eat, the better. And if you can inflammation is, a big problem, as you know, and inflammation is the root cause of all diseases. It can lead to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, you name it, it can lead to it. So inflammation isn't the kind of inflammation where you have a sore throat and you're red and inflamed, or it's not the kind of inflammation where you fall off your bike and you have a scraped knee and it's red and inflamed. Inflammation is something you can't see or feel in your body because it creeps up on you over time. Now, I'm about to hit 60 next year. And, I've noticed I'm stiffer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've really got to get moving and all that. So mobility is so important. And I know people in their 80s and 90s that still walk. And I'm like, what's the difference between them that are walking and the other ones that aren't? Or maybe they're in a wheelchair, or maybe they need a cane, or maybe they need a walker. It's most likely, maybe they're just blessed with good genes, but I bet you it's clean eating. I bet they ate really clean. I bet they weren't eating the potato chips that have cottonseed oil or safflower oil. Oils are omega-6 oils are very inflammatory. So one of my workshops is called Give Yourself an Oil Change. In other words, isn't that cute? I thought that was
I love it.
Out with the potato chips and in with the air fryer. You can make potato chips with the air fryer. There's no oil. So, but we get lazy and we're creatures of habit, and we like the kettle chips, which I know, believe me, it's my favorite. But I'm like, no, Nancy, make a sweet potato, make those sweet potato fries and put them in the oven. Because when I fast forward and I see people that are 20, 30 years older than me, I don't want to be in a wheelchair. And when I listen to Doc Pharmacy, it's one of my favorite podcasts. He's like, we're not designed to be in wheelchairs in our 80s. We should be able to walk until our 90s, it's just time for us to go. And one of the best movies that I saw on Netflix, what's that called? The Blue Zones. If you watch the Blue Zones, you're going to see a 100-year-old, is he, I'm not sure if he's Mexican or whatnot. I don't know where he lives. But anyways, they go to the Blue Zones, and those are where the centenarians live, the people that live past 100. Well, one of them's in Loma Linda, by the way, which is,
wow.
Yeah, that's a Blue Zone area. I think it's so smoggy in San Bernardino. But they're also involved in a religious group. I think it's the Mormons. I'm not sure. But they play pickleball, and that's a group activity. And they shop together in the grocery store, and they eat together. So that's what I mean. It's group activities. It's eating clean and green. It's eating the food that doesn't have a label. It's those cheap tear down bags when you buy that bell pepper. It's eating stuff like that, and cashews and nuts and seeds and beans and lentils. But when you watch this movie, if your viewers want to watch it, I highly recommend it. You're going to see a man that's 100 years old, and he's still riding his horse, and he's running around roping other horses. We shouldn't be in wheelchairs. We really shouldn't, unless there's a car accident or something else going on, we really shouldn't. And you can prevent that. You really can. So I'm very much into prevention of disease. Most of the time, I believe you can prevent it, unless you have an ongoing condition or something.
That's right. I'll put it up there. The Blue
mobility is very, very important. Stretching, flexibility, every single day. That's what Dr. Sears, who trained me, said. Flexibility is one of the most important things you can do.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. We're going to take a little break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about just something that triggered for me when you talked about putting with the kind of food that we put in our body. So we'll take a little 30-second break, and starting soon, these will be spots where people will be advertising their products, their programs, their services. And if you want to be part of the Disability Channel and feature who you are and what you do, this is a perfect time to do it. So here we go, 30 seconds. Now, I was thinking, I wonder how it would change a person's product sales and business if 20,000 people just saw that ad.
Oh, right.
Right? Okay. Well, here's something that I share with people sometimes, because I hired a professional like you to help me with it, but we actually have 40 workshops called Responsible Wellness. And our clients meet once a week and do their workshop. And of course, it's all the aspects of wellness that we're talking about, but it's more around empowering people to take the action and keeping them supported for a period of time, almost a year actually, so that they stay on track with whatever health changes they want to make. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that we do. Let me just take the blue zones out here. Well, Nancy, this is all really such important information. Now, if we went to the gas station, and with the price that it is right now in California and in Canada and everywhere else, and we filled it up with gas, and the gas was dirty, and it clogged our engine and our, whatever else parts of a car would hurt. Would we go back to the same gas station and put the same dirty gas in there? We won't put dirty gas in our car, but we'll put dirty stuff in our bodies.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Let's talk about the word priority. Where are your priorities? Because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and when you mentioned something, I can't recall what you said. Oh, it's responsible wellness, and you do a workshop once a week. Well, it jogged my memory, because when I was coaching people, people aren't really willing to do a change unless their grandbaby's about to be born, or and they want to be around for that grandbaby. Usually you have to find what it is. And that's where the motivational interviewing comes in. There's a lot of questions you ask them, and you just kind of dive deep to try to find out their purpose and their why, and what is it, and how did they feel in their 20s when they climbed a mountain in Peru, or whatever it is. You just try to, get back to that, or maybe they want to fit into their skinny jeans. But usually for people, it's they're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They're sick and tired of just being exhausted and not having the energy to come home and maybe walk the dog or play with the grandbaby or be present for their kids. Or, we live in a very fast-paced environment. And I mean, I would say almost everybody's under stress, especially if you're working in corporate America, right? And then you're running. And, this was me. I didn't even have time to eat. I ate so darn fast. Del Taco. Now I'm 5'8" and I was very thin. I'm still thin, but I'm not as thin as I was when I was in my 20s. I could eat whatever the heck I wanted. So for 20 years, they're not really going to think like that. But when they're older and they're seeing their body change and they're seeing, darn it, I really want to look good again and fit in those skinny jeans so I could go dancing with my husband, or darn it, I really want to, summer's coming up, fit in that bathing suit and get back to that beach in Maui. It usually has to take something. There has to be a driver underneath it for them to get going. But I tend to see that it's usually with family. My daughter's getting married. I want to get in that beautiful dress. My grandbaby's going to be born. I want to be around for him because I'm going to be taking care of that grandbaby. That's usually what it is. And that's where the interviewing piece comes in. But the priority, and then for some people, it takes a health scare. It just does. And like, with your husband, he didn't know he had diabetes. And then something had happened. He had an event, making a change, it's lifestyle. And the way that I was trained under Dr. Sears, he's a world-renowned pediatrician, by the way, but his acronym is LEAN. So we were trained under LEAN: lifestyle, exercise, attitude, and nutrition. And so that's what we coach on. So when you mention priority, it's always going to be a lifestyle change. It's always going to come down to that. Maybe they can't get rid of sodas, but maybe they can throttle back on ice cream and go, rather than every night, go every other night. And then what I eventually do, then I teach them nice cream. Nice cream is banana ice cream, and it's one ingredient unless you throw chocolate chips on it, so that those are some of the things. People need help with meals and meal planning because they're busy and they don't want to think about it. And I didn't even want to think about it, but now I'm I geek out on this stuff that I was a little pre-diabetic myself, and I lost 32 pounds through COVID. How did I do that? I just ate clean and I exercised a lot. So listen, I could do it. Anybody could do it. But there's foods out there that could be so much healthier for you. And when you eat healthier, you will most likely lose the weight, because sugar it's hidden.
Killer. Yeah.
It's the killer. It even drives cancer, but it's very inflammatory. And people don't realize that until they get a blood test, and all of a sudden, oh, the doctor says there's inflammation in your body, or you have a hard time getting on that treadmill, you know what I mean? Something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the sugar is very addictive. And I found that once I started turning it down, after a little while, I didn't want it anymore. My body, you'd be out for dinner and your friend makes this gorgeous carrot cake, and I couldn't eat it. So,
yes.
But then when you start, I got back on a little bit here a while ago because I bought a bottle of strawberry jam at the farmer's market, and I hadn't had any in a while. And started eating that, and then I made some cookies, and then the next thing you know, I'm back into the sugar, and just like that, it's
very addicting.
Grab you.
It really is. I know. But then you said something that you said you didn't say these words, but you didn't really crave that carrot cake. You didn't really want it, I think is what you said. No. And that's because it's wisdom of the body. So see, so you had what I had is I would eat. When I grew up riding horses, I drank 3 Mountain Dews a day. I didn't no idea it was that bad, but I just put the quarters in the machine at the stables. I had no idea it was that bad. And I was in my 20s. No wonder I had all these problems as I aged into my late 40s. I went, oh, what's going on? I go, oh my gosh, see, it does creep up on you because it's in your system. But then I thought it would be so hard it is kind of hard. It is hard to stop just cold turkey. But then when somebody offered me a cupcake at a family party, I didn't want it. It tasted so sugary. And I said, oh, I can't stand that. And now I crave strawberries, and strawberries actually is the lower sugar. So if you like sugar, the berries are the lower sugar fruits. However, the jam, I'm sure, probably has the sugar in it. So there's other things that you can make. And there's a great app, and it's called Recipe IQ. Dr. Laurie, if you want to look at that. Recipe IQ. And I believe, I haven't looked at it for a while, but I believe it has healthier options for you. And then there's another one I want to give you and your viewers, and it's called diabetesfoodhub.org. They have got great recipes. I'm a chocoholic. Look, my hair is chocolate. I have a chocolate labradoodle, believe it or not. I love chocolate, but I love dark chocolate. And that's actually good for you because it's the 70% cacao. But diabetesfoodhub.org is a great website I'd love to give your viewers, because it will have really good recipes that taste great. It's got a little bit of sugar, but we're looking into like the stevia and the monk. See, monk fruit comes from a tree. So you want our honey. That's Winnie the Pooh, so a little sugar is okay, but eat the sugar that God made, not that man made. In other words, we want you to stay away from the blue and pink packets, the aspartame, which is so addicting, by the way.
Oh, yeah, and dangerous.
Yeah, all those little sugar packets are so, so bad for you. But that's why I'm so passionate about decoding those labels, because believe me, the sugar is in there and people don't know it.
Yeah, and it comes. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. How can we identify, if they don't actually use the word sugar, what are some other terms that refer to sugar and are sugar?
I was going to tell your viewers at the end, you just let me know when you're ready. If they message me on my Instagram, which is Nancy the Health Coach, I will send them a 250 hidden names of sugar. There's 250 names. I'd be happy to send that to you and your viewers. They're just going to have to message me on Nancy the Health Coach. It's like a little purple
Wow.
logo on the back. I think I'm wearing a
Well,
black sweater. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I heard
Mm-hmm.
that there are 250 ways to do dishes, So I'm thinking there's 250 ways to get rid of the sugar.
That's cute.
Right. But I was in the grocery store one day and I was purchasing meat because we're not vegetarians. We grew up on farm. Well, my husband grew up on a farm, and this was the era. He's 82 now, but this is the era where his mom spent her whole day in the kitchen, and they'd go out and do the chores and come in and have a big breakfast. There were three
Yeah.
sweets on the table, and then come back in at lunchtime and have a cooked dinner and three more sweets on the table. And so that's how he grew up. No wonder he had diabetes. But back in the day, they were working in the fields and they wore that off, and they didn't have that sedentary lifestyle
That's right.
that so many of us have right now.
That's
Right.
right. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I was in buying meat, and I'm just checking things over, and these two young moms came up to the meat counter with their babies in the carts, and the carts full of boxes and cans and frozen food and ready-made dinners. And one girl said to the other, and I thought, what a terrible disservice. But one young woman said to the other, well, there's no point in me buying any of this because I wouldn't know what to do with it.
You mean the processed food? She didn't know what to do with it?
No,
Really?
the fresh meat. The fresh meat.
Oh, because she's so used to, she's so used to the TV
There's no
dinners.
point in me buying any of this. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Isn't that
Well,
sad?
where was my mom or my grandma to teach me how to make my own food?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you actually, there's a movie. See, I'm a health nerd. There's another movie about this, and it's called, oh gosh, what's it called? What the Health. I think it's called What the Health. Well,
Okay.
there's documentaries on Netflix, and it talks about that, Laurie, where back in the day, we were out farm, like your husband who's 82, he was farming, he was getting his own food or whatever. And then through the generations and through the years, all of a sudden there's TV dinners, and then there's this and that. So
Yes.
the food industry has really, really changed. So it's probably not her fault because grandma wasn't around.
No.
That's the food industry that's changed. And they thought, oh, let's package this up. Let's put a big price tag on it. We really created a monster with all that. And now, at least the podcast that I listen to, and I love Clean Eating Magazine, by the way, they teach you this stuff. And so my mother's Italian. She never wanted me in the kitchen, but I had to learn how to cook because she was nervous.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to cook. I mean, I pretty much lived on pasta. I had to learn how to cook, so but I've learned through Instagram. I've learned through YouTube. I mean, there's so much out there.
Oh, yes.
So, and Cuisinart and Instapot. I mean, not Instapot. Instapot. I use Instapot almost every day, and I throw chicken in there, and it's done in 25 minutes. So now there's the air fryer. So there are ways to cook healthy and not buy that. And by the way, it's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to go for, you have leftovers, cook once, eat 2 or 3 times versus keep running to the store, buying that processed food that's going to harden your arteries eventually.
Right. We don't eat out. Yeah, we only eat out now. Probably maybe 4 times a year if it's a really special occasion or we're entertaining a client.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I love to cook anyway, so that's the thing that grounds me is when I'm in my kitchen. So
plus it tastes better when it's yours. You know your herbs and your spices and your sauces, and then your husband's, I'm sure, healthier because of you. And yeah. Well, I'm such a picky eater. Oh my gosh, I have to cook for myself.
Oh yes. Well, that's great. And so anything we can do to, I loved your words, diverge and then divert and digress, but all of this is about prevention. And
right. It just
I love to work on the prevention side of things.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I wanted to be the longevity coach, you know what I mean? Because it isn't. So unfortunately in Western civilization, they kind of wait for something to happen and then they treat it. I'm like, no. There's a saying that I heard from Dr. Hyman and I loved it. And he said, I want to die as young as possible. No, wait, I want to die young as late as possible. I want to die young as late as possible and take all my friends with me. In other words, what he was saying was, I don't want to die till I'm 90 or 100. I want to be able to, you want your health span to equal your lifespan. You don't want your health span to give out before your lifespan, because now you're stuck in a chair, and it's really sad. It's like, no, eat healthy. And when you do, you're going to feel so much better. You really are.
Yes.
And I would just tell your viewers, when you go look for a package, less is always best. If there's an ingredient that has, if there's a package that has 3 ingredients and a package that has 10, take the one that has 3. Less is always best. Anything more than 10 or words you cannot pronounce, don't put it in your body. It's a chemical. It's a preservative. It's something that was in Subway sandwich had a preservative. I can't even pronounce it. It's like it's a very long word that starts with an A. Well, that was the same chemical that they found in a yoga mat. So, I mean, it made me crazy. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It was the same.
My gosh.
Yeah. Yes. And I follow the food babe. She's the food activist. So I'm getting all this from her. She won this big award and all that. But you do have to be careful of what you eat out there, because they're putting stuff in there. It's all about the mighty dollar. They put their profits in front of our health. And we wonder why 1 out of 2 is pre-diabetic, 1 out of 3 is diabetic. We wonder why we have such an epidemic of diabetes and mental illness, by the way. It affects our brains too. So
Absolutely.
the greener, the cleaner.
Yes, absolutely.
And movement is medicine, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your take on supplements? What can you educate us about? Because a lot of, there's a lot of myths around now. Oh, the food's not healthy because the soil's not healthy. So
That's
it's
right.
more expensive. It's more expensive to eat healthy food. There's some myth busters, I think, that we need to talk about.
Yes. Oh gosh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. The supplement business is $1 billion business. You have to be so careful and really do your due diligence on supplements. And I was always trained to follow the science. Follow the science, not the testimonials. Not, oh, I felt good with this, I felt good with that. Well, that's great. Testimonials are great. But you really want to follow the science. There's 2 companies that I really like. Actually, there's 3 that I really like. And can I name them, or can I?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I take the Melaleuca line. I love the Melaleuca products. Well, they've got the eco-friendly line too, but they've got a supplement called Peak Performance, and they talk about the 90-day challenge. Or you get your blood test done, you get on the supplements for 90 days, and then you get your blood test done again and watch your numbers. And I've had great numbers with my cholesterol and
oh wow,
thyroid on that product. That's fantastic. I know the science is there on that product.
Absolutely.
Juice Plus is another one. The science behind that is really in there. And then there's a dispensary called Full Script, and you can order online for them. The science it's right online. I'm actually a practitioner for them. I can recommend supplements, but the science is there, and they all guarantee these supplements too. The company doesn't back it. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah. Some supplements can really harm you because it's such a big business. So be careful and do your due diligence is what I would say.
Right. Thank you for that. We have a question from one of our viewers. Washing fruits and vegetables, do you? So what do you know? What can you tell us about that?
Yes, I always wash fruits and vegetables, even if it's a lime, lemon, even if it's a mango, not a banana. Always wash your fruits and vegetables. You never know where it came from. And I take a little scrub brush. You could buy a veggie wash, but actually what I use, and I don't know the ratio, you have to Google it, but vinegar to water. I can't remember if it's one cup of vinegar to 4 cups of, just Google the vinegar washing vegetables. Here's another tip I've learned. So that's one. The other tip I learned is baking soda. And this is my new favorite because it's easier. So I love strawberries. I make strawberry ginger crumble, and I put strawberries or apples or whatever you have, let it soak in baking soda for 5 minutes. Just throw it in a colander, which is what I do. Cold water, throw baking soda on it, rinse it, and you're good to go. And this isn't the baking soda you put in your refrigerator. This is the baking soda you put in your cupboard that's going to go directly on your fruits and vegetables. I think that's easier. You still need baking soda to go in your refrigerator. So this, to mask the smell. But this is another kind of, there's two. There's another kind of baking soda. I hope that answers it for you.
Yeah, that's great. Those are two great tips, two that I'd never thought of. I just use plain water and a little scrubby. So
Vinegar's a little bit better though. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Excellent. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. And if you're just joining us on the Today Show here on Wellness Wednesday, my guest, health coach Nancy Wright, who has just been a walking encyclopedia for us today. And I am familiar with Dr. Sears' work, by the way. I've never taken any of the workshops or anything, but some of my clients have participated in his work. And so I kind of had a nice little feeling when you shared his name. And you've taken that information and have done something with it to help many, many people. And that's just a beautiful thing.
That's right.
I
love
what I do. And by the way, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. I love what I do.
Yes, I can tell. Because those of us who love what we're doing, we don't ever feel like we're working.
That's right.
Well, next week, in 2 weeks, Nancy, I'll be 75. And I'm going, am I going to, and I went yesterday to the doctor. I don't go to the doctor very often, but I had to go yesterday because here in Canada, at least in my province, once you turn 74, you only get a driver's license for a year. I'm going to do a show on this.
Oh, wow.
And I don't take any medication. I have no mobility issues. I'm just like healthy.
Wow.
And I went to the doctor because you have to have a doctor sign off on a paper to go get your license renewed.
Wow.
And it was $122. And I thought, I have to pay for this rule.
And you don't have any, and look how great you look, by the way. You're very young, 75. That's fantastic.
Thank you. But I thought, wow, like I know a lot of people who've got a lot of things going on and they're still driving, but I guess maybe they had medicals. I don't know. But anyway, that was the latest and the greatest of that. But yes, I have been blessed with good health. I did have cancer though 2 years ago, but I had a hysterectomy and it was early detection. And and it was just very a simple operation and it was done. I didn't have to take any treatments or anything.
Oh, good. Well, to get to that too, is I've been very, very healthy, but when stress hits, stress can really impact the body. And boy, have I learned that. And so I didn't realize how much stress can even drive up your blood sugar, which my doctor told me the other day. I said, geez, I knew that, but I didn't realize. He's not kidding. It does drive up the blood sugar. And then that drives up everything else. But stress has meditation is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing too. There's so many things we can do that don't cost anything.
I know it.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I must mention, I love San Diego. I've been there quite a bit because I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is East Coast. If you think about the state of Maine, that would be my neck of the woods.
I can picture it on a map. Yeah.
But San Diego is a naval town, just like Halifax. And when I went to San Diego, I went, oh, this is like a bigger version of home. Oh, okay. Sailors. Perfect.
Yeah, that's South San Diego. I'm 45 minutes north of there. Yeah. You're down kind of by the airport, but it's beautiful here, isn't it?
Oh, lovely. Just lovely. So thank you so very much for taking time, Nancy, to be with us today. And perhaps you'll come back and join us another day because I know there's more to talk about.
Oh, yes.
All right. You've been watching the Today Show coming out of Toronto, Canada. I'm located in Alberta. We border on the great state of Montana. So we're in the same neck of the woods, Nancy, straight south to California. It's perfect. I can get a direct flight to Palm Springs and friends pick me up and there we go. So I come back, I'll be coming back down again. I love California and always had a dream of retiring there. But right now, I think I'll just stay in Canada for now. I'm feeling quite safe but I love the States. And my dad had dual citizenship actually, because all of my relatives, his relatives came from the Boston area. So he always had a dual passport. So we have made many, many trips back and forth over the years. So ladies and gentlemen, eat clean, stay green, keep those sugars away from you. I started that yesterday because I had this little thing going on And I went, wow. And I went up 3 pounds and I went, oh, yeah, well, why? What are you expecting? Something different? Okay, well, let's say goodbye, Nancy. Nancy Wright, the health coach. Check her out. All good. I'm going to put your name up there one more time just so that people, if they want to reach out to you, they can email you, Nancy the health coach at gmail.com.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And if anybody wants that list of 250 words for sugar, if you email Nancy, she will send it to you. Thank you so much, Nancy, for being here.
This has been fun.
Great.